Okay, I think we're ready to start. So hi everyone, I'm Harriet. I'm a public programme curator here at the Building Centre. And I want to thank you for joining us today for the 5th talk in our Woodwork series, where each week we invite designers to talk to us about their projects in timber. The talks are kindly supported by Wood for Good and accompany our exhibition, Conversations about Climate Change, in partnership with the Timber Trade Federation. And you can see the exhibition behind me now. And until we open to the public, you're able to visit it yourself online on our website through a virtual 360 exhibition tour, where you can get up close and personal to the 6 installations which are each designed to spark a conversation about climate change. So do check that out on our website at buildingcentre.co.uk/conversations. Just to let you know that this event is being filmed and it will be available to watch on our website and YouTube channel, along with the other talks in the series if you want to revisit it. So I'm delighted to introduce our speaker today, Gustavo Trabo, who's joining us from Brazil. His practice, Estúdio Gustavo Utrabo, intends to expand the architectural field, connect people, and imagine the future through sustainable and inclusive approaches. These ideas come together in an extensive portfolio, and their work has been exhibited in the Brazilian pavilion of the 16th International Architecture Biennale in Venice, and has earned numerous awards, including the RIBA International Emerging Architect Award, and the RIBA Award for International Excellence in 2018 for the Children's School, which we're going to hear more about today. There'll be time for Gustavo to answer some of your questions at the end, so please send them into the Q&A chat at the bottom of your screen. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Gustavo. Thank you very much.
Hi, Harriet. Thank you very much for your introduction. Hello, everyone. I will start to jump into the presentation because I think it will be better. So I think you're looking to the presentation right now. I thought it would be started just before entering to the Children Village building, just to talk a little bit about a theme that is connected to the project and it's connected to the exhibition. That is the conversation about climate change. And for me, it is what is important for me about this theme, and that is related, of course, to my work, is the notion of nature and how we perceive nature nowadays. I do like this image of quite extreme nature into the Amazon here in Brazil. This idea of a virgin forest, when you enter into the Amazon rainforest, for example, when you have like this big species and big animals, and like everyone over there is hunting. So this kind of nostalgic idea. But what strikes me into this image, rather not just like how beautiful the image it is, but how like the local people is showing the path to a visitor, and why I think this is interesting, because we don't have anymore at least I don't have anymore the skills to read nature. We do have a tough moment right now to understand and perceive nature into a more holistic perspective. As the French philosopher Bruno Latour says, it's nothing more difficult to conceive than the notion of nature. So it's super difficult to conceptualize nature into a more bigger perspective, because the notion of nature is always related to culture. So for example, I'm here in my home in São Paulo, so I perceive nature in one way, but when I go to Amazon rainforest, the local people perceive it into a totally different way. So in one of the projects that I'm doing right now there, that I will not show today, in one of the visits, I get the chance to just travel to the middle of the Amazon rainforest, like from São Paulo to this place where I took this photo is 50 hours traveling like boat, plane, 4x4. It's a super a faraway place. So when you arrive there, you see like this beautiful nature, and it's sublime. But what strikes me when I was there, when trying to pay attention a little more to the details, I start to find out these traces of humanity over there. So but imagine when I went there, I thought I was going to a place thinking that I will just encounter a pure nature, if I can say something like that. But I start to take photos of a lot of like these objects that I found out into this place, and what is interesting about it, and then when I start to study a little bit more about the Amazon rainforest, is and it's related to the Anthropocene era that we live nowadays, is that we don't have any place into the earth that is not changed by our actions. And what is interesting here is like these fragments of culture are transformed into nature again. Of course, this is kind of trash and they should not be there, but how it start to belong to nature. And if you take a look to the Amazon rainforest, you study a little bit more, you understand that the places that have the richness, diversity of species are the places where the indigenous people already transformed maybe 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. So it's interesting to understand how can we transform nature, transform matter into a more positive direction, right? So I'm trying always to understand how can we deal with matter into this perspective. And the only object that I found there that I can trace where it belongs was this sardine can that came from like this really south of Brazil. So it traveled, I don't know how many thousand kilometers into this place, but it was kind of a strange encounter that I have over there. So these concepts of these doubts related to culture and nature are really important into my work, and I'm always trying to understand a little bit more. But to do so, it's always important to me to listen to the local people and try to understand them and learn with them how they see and perceive the world. So the project that I want to show is the children village of Canuanã, and is located really in the middle of Brazil. So from São Paulo to there, traveling by plane and by car, it took me 12 hours. So it's super far away. If I send a truck from São Paulo to there, it took at least 1 week and a half to arrive there. So when we got this project with two friends of mine, one is a designer that called Marcelo, and another designer architect called Pedro Dushnis. We didn't know exactly how can we understand, how can we design this dormitory for these kids. One thing that is important to say that this relation of a boarding school in Brazil is totally connected to low-income families, and is exactly what is happening over here. So the Bredesco Foundation is a bank foundation that we have in Brazil, have 40 different schools into the whole country, and 2 of them are dormitories. One of them is this one that is Canuanã. It's in the middle of just beautiful place, and like when you arrive there, it's kind of a strange feeling because you travel so much to arrive there. Then when you arrive to a city of kids, and the image, if I can share with you, like when I arrived there for the first time, I was super exhausted because the trip and everything. And when I arrived there was by night. I think it was at 8 at night, and I just saw like hundreds of kids playing around and with bicycles and everything. So it was kind of a utopia image, kind of a magical moment. So they are surrounded by this nature, and this is how they live. The parents live over there. This is indigenous territory, really close to the foundation. And when you see this image, what's interesting is, like, for me, of course, this vernacular architecture, but is this satellite, that I don't remember the name, but this satellite element that provides information to this community. This information is only connected to one TV channel, sorry, and what this TV channel usually says, what is progress, is totally different from what is progress for them. So for sure, this TV channel never say like living like this it's a good way to live. So we try to understand how can we think these vernacular techniques and bring into the project, because using this local material is a way to do a more sustainable project, a cheapest project, and a more and a project that is related to their future. So this is one house of one of the parents. So to understand a little bit more the kids, we start to do a lot of we play with them to increase the sense of belonging of the kids. This was an important thing because as they enter into the boarding school with 7 years and leave with 18, we thought that if we can increase their sense of belonging, we can generate better grades and a better school, a better living in the end. So it's quite, they did this kind of naive drawings, but it was interesting to understand that they want to share the room with 4-5 friends. So this is how the old dormitories over there. And when we take a look at what's the main, what was interesting about what they have over there is this veranda that provides this shade, and is the same space that you can see into their family's parents' house, where you see like this veranda is a place where you can play with your kid, take care of the chicken, and hang your clothes to dry. So this relation of in-between space, for me, it's key in my work, because I always trying to dissolve the limits of the building. And of course, my practice mainly is in my country, where the sun is super intense, right? We are in a tropical zone, and if you see this Francis Alice video, is super interesting, where you see like this shade, and where the people get together is always beneath this shade. So design the shade was a key feature into this project. And another thing is that we want to design something that disappear or into the landscape, or better than disappears, like when you go there, you feel that it has always been there. So this was a key point to me in the project. And so we rearranged the whole site, the school where they live, like where the teachers lives too, and all the collaborators of the foundation. So these are the two pavilions into the landscape. So you see like these two simple elements that float over the ground and provide generous shade, because there they say they have two different seasons over there. One is summer and the other one is hell. So it's really, really hot the whole year. In terms of well, we do have a really strict budget. So the building is quite pragmatical and repeat themselves a lot. And our tactic was to do the structure prefabricated in timber wood and quickly assemble the construction site. The modulation of the structure is 5.9 by 5.9. With that, we managed to put a lot of pieces into the truck and deliver to the construction site, because the trucks in Brazil have 12 meters. So we can assemble the best way the timber structure into the truck and send to the construction site, and all the elements and the dormitories where we need a better insulation related to the heat. We did into bricks using mud from the site. In terms of plan, it's quite simple. Again, this like this dormitory that's connected with 5 dormitories and make a block, and it's always connected to these patios, these 3 different patios that have 3 different designs in terms of vegetation and path, and create a different interaction between the students. And if you see, like, it's quite the relation between almost like private space and public space kind a little bit like odd, if I can say so, because it's what we want to do is like provide this generous shaded space. So if you enter into the like dormitories, are quite simple and repeat themselves. And in the end, what looks like the building is something like that. And again, in terms of the structure, what we did is it's a really straightforward building. So the beams and the columns have the right, the perfect amount, if I can say, the perfect amount of wood. And when we need more section to make the column more stiffness, to make the column pass into the calculum, we just add these elements, really like a straightforward design, and we gently put these feet into the bottom of the column, so the water can pass freely beneath it. So these patios where the kids walk, play around and everything. So, and this relation between these limits of the building that you never know if you're inside and outside, and with that we dissolve the boundaries of the building. The dormitory by itself, so you see, it's quite a restricted area, and you should imagine for them like this is the only way for them to have a better future in terms of the education. So again, all you can see like really straightforward structure. When we need more elements for the cantilevers, we just add it. And the second floor, we have study areas in the center, TV rooms, and just free space for them to play. One thing we understood, we don't need to teach them how to play. The kids know how to play, but we need to provide the conditions to do so. And this building was about that too, like provide this general shade space. So in terms of sections, quite simple one, just one inclination. And what makes the spatial differentiation is these balconies that goes and touch the columns and help the stiffness of the whole complex, but create a more intimacy place beneath it. So as we have like this huge place, we try to decrease the scale of the building and make it more intimacy into certain places. So this is the study room, place for them to play, and just a section that mainly shows that everything that is done locally is much more heavier than what our lightweight structure. So just passing by, one thing that we did, we don't know exactly how to make the joint. So we tested into a prototype close to São Paulo because it was cheaper to make mistakes close to home rather than do there. So in terms of joints and everything, we try to do it as simple as possible, but as interesting as possible too. So for the construction, we did foundations, we did the structure, then we cover it. So everyone's work, so everyone could work into the shade. With that, we increase productivity into the construction site. And as the building so far away is quite expensive to build there because this distance and everything. So the bricks, we designed all the walls, so every brick has a name, and we count all the bricks. With that, we settle a small brick factory into the construction site, and we produce it. Then we assemble it, and how with like specific drawings, and this is how it works in the end. So this is kind of a veil that provides the constant wind to enter into the dormitories. We don't have any glazing glasses, things like that in the building, because the main thing was to make it as cool as possible. So I think I passed a little bit my time, but I think I did it. If you have any doubts or questions, please tell me. Thank you.
Thank you, Gustavo. That was so brilliant to hear more about the project and about your concept of reading nature, and just hear about such an amazing building that's really born out of its landscape and climate and its materials, and yeah, the structure and how it serves the community. And I loved your description of a city of kids. That was very emotive. So please, everyone, we've got time for some questions. So if you do want to send them in to the Q&A, then I can ask them. I just wanted to kick off actually by asking Gustavo, you spoke about sort of vernacular precedents that were on the site, and you showed some of those timber buildings. And I was just wondering if, you also said that you kind of tested the joints in a site near Sao Paulo, and I was just wondering if you had any kind of contemporary or old precedents for building such a big building in timber or using glulam, and what the kind of process was for.
So what happened that the engineer, it's called Hélio Olga, and the construction firm, his firm is called ITA, and he's working with wood a long time in Brazil. But usually they use timber. We use timber structure in Brazil in these cases of vernacular architecture or really high-end houses that cost a lot, right? So what we try to do is kind of bring these two opposites into a middle place, So it was a super difficult situation for us because in terms of regulation, fire regulations and everything, because we don't have it in Brazil, because we don't build things like that. So a lot of things was done for the first time here in terms of size of the building. So imagine like this ITA construction firm produce 1,000 square. How can I say it? The whole production of the biggest firm of timber structure in Brazil is here. So it shows us how low is our productivity in the year, right? So I think I answered a little bit your question.
Yeah. Do you think there's is there much demand for glulam in Brazil, or like building in timber? Do you think that that's something that will pick up? Do you think the industry will expand?
Well, I think we do maybe two things in this theme. What is the, if we are in São Paulo, like you walk around, you see like the streets, like how the concrete is cracking, and the nature's, it's appearing in the middle of this concrete, right? Because the nature here is so powerful and grows so fast. So we do have a huge potential of growing elements here, and we should use it in terms of our construction industry, because we should stop sorry about the noise in the back here. So we should start to think, how can we design more prefabricated elements related to a growth elements, right? So timber is one of these for sure.
Nice. We've got quite a lot of questions coming in actually, so
hope I can answer them.
Carolina says, brilliant design, thank you. How do you provide privacy in the bedrooms if you don't have one?
So imagine before they share the room with more 39 kids, so it's like 40 kids into one room, and then the now is 6, right? So again, this is not a luxury building that everyone is paying, have his own room. So we did the best what we can with that. In terms of privacy, I don't think it's just in the room. We have like this huge farm, right? So you can figure out different corners of the building that you can have privacy, or even into other parts of the farm beneath a tree, right? So it's much more about the collectivity rather than the individuality.
Thanks. Tim asks, how long did the build take? Did having the roof reduce the anticipated construction time?
So we construct everything in 14 months. So it's 33,000 square meters. So it was the time. For just assemble the structure with the roof, it took us 8 months. So it was quite fast. And what happened in the beginning of the construction was that we got like the rainy season that rains a lot. So it's like take a longer than we expected, but it was quite a fast construction.
Thanks. And Seb asks, have you learnt lessons from this building, having been completed a few years? Particular successes or concerns about weathering that you'd incorporate in the future?
Well, I think every project you learn a lot and you change yourself, right? Because doing to different contexts and dealing with different people. So I do learn a lot and with them in terms of personal perspective, but this strategy to do prefabricated structure that modulate all the building and bring precision to the construction, and then build other elements with brick that is more loosely built. It's a strategy that I keep using because what I learned here, it works a lot. So, yeah.
And I think I'm going to squeeze in one more question. So Martin says, "Bom dia, Gustavo. Firstly, thank you for the presentation of such a beautiful project. You mentioned playing with the children and trying to create a sense of belonging. I wonder if you could talk more about the collaboration with the students and how that informed your design approach." Thanks, Martin.
So what we did was super interesting, because imagine when you open a conversation with we did with 100 kids, right? That will live into this place. And when you start, like, if you ask to 100 kids what they want, like, they can all different things. One, for example, want a PlayStation, another one to just want room for himself. So it was quite messy, right? So what we try to do, I put everyone's in the same page. So we ask them to write a letter with their concerns, with their desires and everything. So, so we received these 100 letters, and we combined these 100 students into 10 groups of 10, right? So in each of these groups, we asked them to combine these 10 letters into one letter, right? So they need to negotiate by themselves, like what is important, what is not, right? So after that, we exchange these letters with these different groups and ask them to make installation of what will be the room with their bodies, right? Because the notion of the scale of their bodies is totally different from ours, because they're different sizes and everything. So it helps us to understand what would be a quite suitable scale for them to this dormitory, in terms of like just the dormitory, right? And when they need to make this display of this dormitory, they need to, like, a window, so they open and close their arms. So they could just inscenate what was important to the project, right? The bed and everything. So with that, we got start to narrow, and everyone understood what was important, not just us, because some of the pictures we do understand, but they start to understand that too. So this was one of the things that we did. So we start from this point, then we move forward. It was 1 week of fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I'm always jealous of the children. But I think that's where we'll have to stop. We've got lots of questions that went unanswered, and if you have any more, then feel free to email them to me at hjennings@buildingcentre.co.uk, and I can forward them to Gustavo for you. So I just want to say thank you so much again, Gustavo, for joining us.
Thank you, Harriet.
Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you can join us next week when Alex DeRiker from DRMM will be talking about Hastings Pier. So thanks everyone. Thanks, Gustavo.
Thank you. Bye-bye.